I used to believe the worst betrayals came from exes or bosses. But tell me, what do you do when your best friend swears she's helping you succeed and your calendar keeps changing behind your back? Before I share what happened next, hit subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're listening from. It started the day I opened a rejection email from a firm I never even applied to. They thanked me for my interest, referenced a resume I didn't remember customizing, and politely let me know I wasn't a match. I blinked at the screen, reread it twice, and chalked it up to some HR glitch. It had been a long month. After quitting a toxic startup job where my role kept evolving until it disappeared, I was finally going all in on landing a corporate communications role. Something stable, $130,000 range, full benefits. I had goals, budgets, a future I could picture again. And then there was Ashley. We'd been friends since undergrad. She had helped me move twice, sat with me through my breakup with Matt, and practically lived on my couch during the pandemic. She was sharp, funny, had a minor in psych, and a gift for knowing just how to tweak your words to sound more powerful. Her words, not mine. So when she offered to elevate my resume and run mock interviews, I didn't hesitate. She said it would give her practice too. She'd just started consulting on resumes for friends of friends and wanted testimonials. It felt like a win-win. Except I never asked her to touch my LinkedIn or start emailing recruiters pretending to be me. The first week was smooth. She sent me a draft resume that honestly looked solid. Strong verbs, better structure, no lies. Or so I thought. She encouraged me to post a few thought leadership blurbs on LinkedIn to show off my writing voice. Even offered to draft a couple for me. I copied, pasted, and posted without thinking twice. Then things got weird. One afternoon, I logged into LinkedIn and noticed my job title had changed. Not my most recent role, the one before that. Ashley had changed content strategy lead to content director. It wasn't a huge leap, but it was a title I'd never officially held. I called her. "Oh, relax," she laughed. "No one checks titles that closely. It's aspirational. Everyone does it. Besides, you were doing director-level work." I didn't argue, but that knot in my stomach, the one that shows up when you ignore something small because you don't want to make it bigger, it stayed. About 10 days in, I noticed a new Google Calendar invite for an interview with a tech company I hadn't applied to. The invite was on my calendar. It had my name, my email, and a link. I figured it must have been one of the applications Ashley submitted on my behalf. She'd offered to send a few strategic ones using my info, with my permission. At the time, it felt like having a personal agent. What could go wrong? The interview didn't go well. They asked me about a product launch I supposedly managed. I had no clue what they were referring to. When I tried to clarify, the interviewer looked confused. "We were told in your email that you'd led the global comms rollout for that campaign," he said. I smiled stiffly. "That wasn't me." He paused. "This is the resume your rep sent us, correct?" "My what?" I ended the call early and spent the next 2 hours digging. My inbox had no sent email to that company. But when I opened my Gmail sent folder, nothing about that application was there. Still, something didn't add up. That night, I caught Ashley logged into my iPad. Not physically. Digitally. I was watching Hulu when a strange notification popped up in the corner of the screen. Ashley's Gmail wants to sync contacts. Her email wasn't ashleyjames@gmail.com. It was jade@studio.3@gmail.com. I'd never seen that one before. I tapped. My stomach dropped. There it was. A full thread between Ashley, posing as me, and a recruiter from a healthcare startup. Complete with a falsified resume, overly confident cover letter, and a casual note at the end that said, "I'm currently also in final stages with 3 other offers, so I'd love to expedite next steps." I wasn't in final stages anywhere. I wasn't even halfway. I sat there, watching my reflection flicker in the iPad screen, heart thudding. What else had she done? I didn't sleep that night. My mind raced through every possibility. Had she created fake offers to make me look more competitive? Was she ghostwriting my LinkedIn DMs? And if so, why? The next morning, I confronted her. Softly at first. Asked if she'd ever used another email account to help me out. She laughed too quickly.
What? No.
Why would I? Then paused. Wait, did something weird happen? Maybe someone hacked your LinkedIn. Or, like, a recruiter spoofing emails? She leaned into the confusion, made me question my own memory. But when I asked her about the J Studio Point 3 email directly, her face went blank. That silence told me everything. Later that day, I logged into my LinkedIn account. The security log showed logins from a location she'd recently visited for a conference, a city I hadn't been to in 5 years. That's when the second interview cancellation hit my inbox. Another company, another recruiter, another version of me they thought they were talking to. I looked up the job posting. The application asked for a cover letter, a video introduction, and a resume. The job was still open, but now marked as duplicate submission. I'd never applied. Someone had already submitted as me, and now I was disqualified. I wasn't just losing time. I was losing credibility. And I still didn't know why she was doing this. Was it jealousy?
Control?
Or something deeper? Whatever it wasn't about helping anymore. And that creepy little Gmail glitch? That was just the start. Ashley stopped texting me. No apology, no explanation, not even one of her classic fake casual, hey girl, check-ins. After I confronted her about the email and the recruiter mix-up, she just disappeared. Not blocked, just silent. Like she was hoping if she went quiet long enough, I'd let it go. But I couldn't let it go. Not when every day seemed to uncover something else she had her digital fingerprints on. I started a new habit. Every morning, I'd pour my coffee, open my laptop, and search for more of me online. At first, it was just a quick scan. LinkedIn, job boards, old interview threads. But by day 4, I was deep diving like a woman possessed. Searching my name on Reddit, running a LinkedIn export, digging into my Google account's app permissions like a forensic analyst. That's when I found it. An automated email forward rule buried in my Gmail settings. Any message with the word offer, salary, or interview in the subject line had been quietly forwarding to jatestudio.3@gmail.com. My jaw clenched so tight, I thought I'd chipped a molar. She was monitoring my inbox. The creepiness settled like dust. You don't notice it at first, not when it's light and scattered. But over time, it layers, coats your lungs, changes how you breathe. Every time I opened my inbox, I felt watched. Every time I replied to a recruiter, I wondered if someone else had already pretended to be me. The worst part? I couldn't even tell which job offers I'd actually lost and which ones she'd poisoned before I ever saw them. I remembered something weird from 2 weeks earlier. A notification that my calendar permissions had changed. At the time, I assumed it was a fluke. I'd even texted Ashley about it. She'd replied, "Tech is so glitchy lately, lol. Probably just a sync bug." Now I knew better. She'd been inside my Google Workspace the whole time. She had my login. From when I let her tweak my resume on Docs. I never reset my password, not after, not even once. I thought she was helping. But help doesn't come with secret forwarding rules and burner emails. I finally called Google support to ask how long the forwarding had been running. Just over 24 days, the rep said. I remember the tone. Casual, like he was reading the weather. But I did the math. That meant every single job lead from the last 3 weeks had gone to Ashley's burner first. She hadn't just applied on my behalf. She had intercepted every response and decided which ones I should see. And I started to see a pattern. The companies that ghosted me? All early-stage tech firms. The ones she used to mock. Toxic bro energy, she'd call them. The ones that responded to me? Safer. More corporate. Easier for her to control. She was curating my career like it was a Pinterest board. And I never gave her that right. I checked LinkedIn again. This time, I didn't look at my profile. I searched hers. Ashley James. Communications consultant.
Résumé stratégiste.
Open to contract work. She had added a line to her experience section. Confidentially coached and represented high-level candidates in the tech, nonprofit, and public sectors. Represented. Like she was my agent. But agents don't pretend to be their clients. And that's when I realized. She hadn't just used my name. She'd used my voice. I pulled up the Gmail thread that had accidentally synced to my iPad. It was still there, buried in the all-mail folder. In it, she wrote, "As someone who's been undervalued for years, I'm finally setting a boundary. I'm only accepting offers above $130,000. It read like me. It sounded like me. She had studied me. All our venting sessions, the mock interviews, the coffee chats. She'd absorbed my tone, my insecurities, my professional dreams. Then she reassembled them into a version of me that she controlled. The next violation came from an unexpected place. Venmo. I was scrolling through my transactions to double-check a rent split when I noticed a payment to someone named @Resume Rebrand 2024. The memo read, "For March submissions plus Google Forms access." I never made that payment, but I recognized the amount. $275. The same number Ashley had once told me she charged for VIP clients. I tapped the profile. No photo.
No bio.
Just a few public transactions, all from women I didn't recognize. One of them had commented, "Thanks again for helping with the recruiter impersonation." My heart skipped.
What?
I clicked on the commenter's profile. Her name was Kara. She had public transactions showing Venmo notes like, "Email alias setup. LOL, I feel like a spy. Mock recruiter, thread sent. You're the best. Ghostwriting cover letter loudly crying face, 2 hearts, lifesaver." Ashley wasn't helping just me. She was running an off-the-books ghost application business, pretending to be candidates to get them in the door, as she once framed it. Except I hadn't signed up for that. I didn't know she was rewriting my story, impersonating me in interviews, or filtering my real responses. And now, I didn't know who had actually seen the real me or the digital Frankenstein version she'd stitched together. That night, I searched one more thing. I typed her burner Gmail into Facebook. Nothing came up. Then, just for fun, I searched it on TikTok. An account popped up. No profile photo.
No bio.
But a username that felt too close to home at Career Cloner. It had only posted once. A stitched video mocking lazy job seekers who can't even write their own cover letters. The voice in the background? It was mine. A clip from a Zoom interview I'd done weeks ago, ripped and distorted. I recognized the question. I recognized the outfit. I'd never posted that interview publicly, which meant Ashley had recorded it. Without telling me. Creepy wasn't even the word anymore. It was invasive. Surgical. She hadn't sabotaged me for fun. She'd done it because, to her, I was a product. One she could rebrand, repurpose, and replicate. The job hunt wasn't a process. It was her playground. And I was the prototype. The next morning, I scheduled a call with the recruiter I had trusted most, a woman named Danny from a nonprofit arts fund. We'd spoken a few weeks earlier, and it felt like a real connection. No corporate fluff.
No gatekeeping.
Just 2 women talking about mission-aligned work. I asked her directly, "Do you remember who submitted my application? Was it from this email?" I gave her my real Gmail. There was a pause.
No, she said.
The first submission came from someone named ashjane24@outlook.com. I thought maybe it was your assistant. My stomach flipped. I didn't have an assistant. But Ashley had used that alias in college, back when she was obsessed with writing poetry under a pseudonym. And now she was using it to apply for my jobs. Danny forwarded me the original application. It was worse than I imagined. The resume was a hybrid of mine and someone else's, bullet points I didn't recognize, projects I hadn't touched, inflated titles everywhere. The cover letter referenced founding a mentorship program that didn't exist. She had Frankenstein me. And Danny's final note hit hardest. We actually tried to follow up on a Zoom interview, but we were ghosted. That's why we closed the application. I was never told about a follow-up. Ashley had ghosted as me. She hadn't just fumbled an opportunity. She had made me look unprofessional to a woman who might have championed me. The betrayal wasn't emotional anymore. It was professional sabotage. That night, I called my sister. She's an employment lawyer in Ohio, small firm, mostly contract disputes. But she's sharp.
Detail obsessed.
Doesn't react unless something is real. I told her everything. The email forwarding rule, the LinkedIn edits, the Venmo burner, the unauthorized recordings, and the impersonation. She stayed silent the whole time. When I finished, she took a breath and said one word: document.
So I did.
I spent the weekend building a folder I called Proof/AJ. Screenshots of Ashley's burner email threads. LinkedIn version history logs showing unauthorized edits. Google activity logs showing logins from out-of-state IPs. A screen record of the TikTok video using my Zoom audio. Even the Venmo receipts, saved as PDFs. I cross-referenced everything with timestamps and company names. It looked like a digital case file. And yet, I hesitated to do anything with it. Because underneath the anger, the humiliation, the twisted awe at how far she'd gone, there was still grief. Grief for a friendship that had become surveillance. I remembered when Ashley first helped me move into my last apartment. She brought plants, set up my kitchen drawer organizer, stayed until 1 a.m. helping me peel bubble wrap off picture frames. She once cried when I got food poisoning, said she felt weirdly responsible for not checking the takeout place's Yelp reviews. She had always been involved, but I'd mistaken obsession for devotion. And now I had the receipts. The final confirmation came through an unlikely source, Dropbox. I'd forgotten we once shared a folder there for our joint podcast idea, Millennial Messes. It only had 2 episodes, both scrapped. But the shared folder still existed. And one day, while searching my cloud apps for anything Ashley-related, I clicked it. Inside was a subfolder titled Clients. My name was the first one. The documents inside? A spreadsheet labeled Job Tracker, T. A Word doc titled Alternate Personas. A folder of video clips marked Sizzle Reels. One clip was the Zoom recording of my nonprofit interview, the one she'd stitched into the TikTok audio. Another was a voiceover draft labeled Confident Version, Take 3. It was me, but more assertive, artificially smoothed out. It sounded like a corporate avatar. She was literally versioning me. In the Word doc, she had bullet points for every alias she'd used. ashjane24@outlook.com. j.studio.3@gmail.com. Contact Tasha, resume@gmail.com. Each one had usage notes. Use this for tech recruiters only. Avoid nonprofits. She prefers personal voice here. Don't oversell awards on this track. She had scripted my career like it was a character arc. And without realizing it, I had been letting her run the show. My sister called again. You have enough for a cease and desist, she said. Maybe even identity theft, depending on the DA. But ask yourself, what do you want? Revenge? Closure? Public exposure?
No.
None of that. I wanted a reset. I wanted to be back in control of my own story. So I crafted one final message to Ashley. I emailed her directly.
No emotion.
Just facts. Subject: Cease digital impersonation. Ashley, this is formal notice that I am aware of your unauthorized use of my name, likeness, credentials, and voice in professional communications. I have documented evidence of email impersonation, calendar and resume edits, access to private Google content, unauthorized recordings, misrepresentation in employment applications. Please be advised I am prepared to take legal action if this behavior continues. Cease all digital and third-party use of my information immediately.
Tasha.
She replied 2 hours later. For words, I only ever helped.
No apology. No denial.
Just a twisted little affirmation. I read it 5 times, then deleted it. Because I finally understood something. She didn't think she'd done anything wrong. To her, I was raw data to optimize. A living project. A proxy. A way to feel confident and connected without permission.
And to me?
She was done. 3 weeks passed before I felt like myself again. I rebuilt everything. Resume, cover letters, calendar, even my passwords. Every account got multi-factor authentication. Every device was checked for syncs, logins, or hidden rules. I wiped my iPad and started using Signal for anything even remotely sensitive. It sounds extreme, but when someone you love violates your digital life, paranoia becomes part of the healing. And I was healing. Slowly. Quietly. But I also needed something more. Not revenge. Not a courtroom. Just the truth to matter. I started a Medium post. Drafted it anonymously at first. I called it, "When Your Best Friend Applies to Jobs as You." It wasn't dramatic. No names.
No screenshots.
Just a clean, calm walkthrough of what it felt like to be digitally puppeteered by someone you trusted. I described the resume edits, the fake email accounts, the accidental sync, the career sabotage disguised as coaching, and most of all, the emotional confusion. How I felt grateful, then violated. How I defended her, then doubted myself. How hard it was to explain something that wasn't violent but still felt like a robbery. The post went viral. Not celebrity tweet, viral but enough. I woke up to 3,000 reads. By day 3, it had hit 42,000. My inbox flooded with messages. Some from women who'd had similar things happen. Controlling friends, helpers who crossed lines, ghostwriters who slipped into power roles. Some from recruiters and hiring managers who never realized how vulnerable candidates could be. And a few from people who knew Ashley. Not directly, but through referrals. One person said, "She edited my resume last year and told me not to bother applying to jobs outside her approval list." Another wrote, "She offered to speak to a recruiter for me, and then I never heard back." It wasn't just me. I never responded to those messages.
Didn't need to.
Because the story was no longer just mine. It became part of a quiet whisper network. And that was enough. Then, something unexpected happened. One of the companies I'd lost circled back. The nonprofit Danny worked for. She'd read the post.
She emailed me.
"I knew something felt off about your earlier application.
I'm so sorry.
If you're open to reapplying, we'd love to consider you, the real you." I cried when I read that line. Not because of the job. Because someone saw the difference. Someone recognized the real version of me was enough. I took the interview. This time, no script.
No elevated titles. No overconfident voiceovers.
Just me. And I got the offer. It wasn't the highest paying one. $112,000, a little under my target. But it was real. It was clean. And it was mine. I told Ashley nothing. Blocked her quietly. Removed her from every shared platform. Scrubbed access she might have had. Told mutual friends a version of the truth. She crossed some serious boundaries. We're not in contact anymore. Some asked questions. Most didn't. People sense when the full story is heavier than the summary. Last week, I checked the Dropbox link again. The shared folder is gone now. Either she deleted it, or the system auto-archived it when her account went inactive. Either way, it's silent. But sometimes I still catch myself rechecking security logs. I still flinch when I get a calendar invite I wasn't expecting. I still reread job descriptions twice, wondering if someone already submitted something I didn't approve. That's the legacy of betrayal that hides behind a screen. It doesn't scream. It lingers. Do I forgive her? Not yet. Not because I hate her. I honestly don't. But because you can't forgive what someone doesn't even acknowledge. And because sometimes justice isn't about punishment. It's about ownership. And I finally own my name again. She thought she could curate my future like a brand, but in the end, the only thing she built was the case file that made me undeniable.